Hello, welcome back to the Temple of the Holy Beard. I'm Pastor Dave. Thanks for tuning in. Um, Today is Monday, September 5th, 2022, Labor Day. Labor Day. Happy Labor Day. And the purpose of this video kind of goes along with Labor Day. Sometimes we work really hard and best we can. It is what it is. And in this case, this goes out for the farmers, the tomato farmers in America, specifically in California, but anywhere and everywhere. This is a piece of news article that you may or may not have heard. It's just been starting to come out, but it's not getting a whole lot of publicity. You know, anything that could make you nervous doesn't get a whole lot of publicity. That's what I'm here for, is not to make you nervous, but to make you informed. So that you can prepare, you can get ready, and it hopefully won't be as stressful for you when it does hit. This particular item is tomato shortage. There's a tomato shortage that's going to hit America. It's starting to hit America, but you probably haven't seen it yet. Most of the tomatoes that are grown commercially in the United States are grown in California. And California has been seeing droughts forever. Especially Southern California, where most of this is grown, is naturally a desert for the most part. So people have to bring in water. Farmers have to bring in water, pump it out of the ground, get it from various rivers to water these crops. Tomatoes take a lot of water. They're also sometimes subject to very dry conditions and extreme heat. Any plant, let's be honest. Those conditions will cook any plant. But on the topic of tomatoes, the dry conditions in California and the shortage of fertilizer, the high cost of what you can get, combined with the cost of workers is going up. Cost of everything is going up. Cost of fuel is going up. Anything having to do with farming is going up right now, which is causing the prices to go up. I'm sure you've seen that already. If you haven't, stay tuned. It's coming. But the bigger issue is just a shortage in general, and farmers are harvesting right now, and they're getting quite a bit less harvest than they normally do. And you might think, hey, Pastor Dave, I don't care. I don't eat tomatoes. Well, do you eat salsa? Do you eat pasta sauce, red pasta sauce? How about pizza sauce? Tomatoes are in a lot, and you may not necessarily realize it, especially if you buy food from packages. You may not realize what goes into creating that. And so, costs going up is one thing. I mean, hopefully you got a little bit of spare change, and you can help to cover the cost of that. Yeah, change isn't going to do it, but you get the idea. But most people in general are on a tight budget, so the price going up hurts enough as it is. I hope you've been budgeting. I hope you've been making adjustments. Determining wants from needs is a big thing. If you want it but you don't need it, maybe you spend that money on something a little more important, like food. A lot of people are losing their houses because of these prices going up. Homeless populations are skyrocketing right now, especially in larger cities and larger, more populated areas. So if you're not in that area, you're not seeing the rise in homeless, good for you. Stay tuned. It's coming. But the tomato shortage, like I said, what it's going to do is it's going to impact, of course, the pizza delivery service. Think, Domino's, Pizza Hut, anything and everything. They're going to have a hard time getting it. And when they do get it, the prices are going to be higher, because, of course, when there's less supply available, then you compete for what's there on price. And the people who can't afford it or aren't willing to pay it will just have to do without. So what we might see first is those places just putting less tomato sauce down. So your pizza might have a little bit less sauce on it. If they can reduce the sauce by 25%, 20%, whatever, that saves a little bit of sauce that they can put on others. Think about it, just anything in general. If something's short, if you can cut it back just a little bit, pinch a little bit from this, put it over there, you know, maybe you can make 10 instead of 9, 10 instead of 8. You can make a little bit more, and maybe, the cost doesn't have to go up as much. But as the consumer, as the person who's eating that, when you're receiving less, for one thing, you're getting less for your buck. And also, when you're talking about food, that less goes directly into your health, and your survivability. In some cases, producers may supplement something else for that. This is impacting ketchup, for example. Like I said, salsa and different products like that. So anything that's a canned or containerized product that you're buying from the grocery store, it's very easy for those producers just to add a little bit more water to it or something like that. In a lot of cases, what they're doing is called shrinkflation. Shrinkflation. They're literally shrinking the size of the container. It might cost the same amount, but it has less in it. So watch those quantities of what you're buying. Let me know what you're seeing. Those containers might be going down. I've seen it in some things already, and I'm getting reports from around the country and other countries in general where all kinds of different things are like that. Vienna sausages have one less in the container now compared to what they did a couple months ago. That's an example of shrinkflation. But going on the tomatoes, like I said, it's coming just like anything else. So I hope that you cook at home on a regular basis, and I hope that everything that's going on is going to encourage you to cook at home more, because with that, of course, you're going to get more bang for your buck, and you know that you're going to be eating a little bit healthier, as best you can within your means, of course. So another thing you can do is try to grow your own. Well, here it is, September in the Northern Hemisphere. It's too late to plant tomatoes. You're not going to get a crop out of them this year, not unless you can grow them inside hydroponically or something like that. But what you can do is you can start planning for your garden for the spring. It's never too early to start planning for your next garden. Start thinking about what you're going to want to grow in there. Start thinking about how you want to lay it out. Companion planting is one way that you can put more crops in a smaller area. Companion planting is just finding two different plants that grow well together. In some cases, one plant feeds the other, and it creates a good cycle that makes them healthier. A lot of gardeners nowadays like to segregate and keep one thing there and another thing there, and they have different sections with different things in there, which can be good for stuff like making sure that they have enough space and for pollination. But at the same time, you can do better by companion planting and succession planting. What that is when one plant is finished, just roll straight into planting the next thing. Also depending on how much space you have, you might be able to actually plant the next thing before the first thing is done, so that the one, roots take hold, it gets to a certain size, and when the first one fades away, the second one is right there behind it, ready to keep on going. So that's one thing that you can do. But tomatoes is just one more item on the long list of things that are coming short right now. So whatever you can do to help yourself out, and make sure that you know how to store it long term. I'll be doing videos on it in the future, but don't wait for me. Do your own research now. Tomatoes is one thing. If you have tomatoes in your garden right now and you only ever eat them fresh, well, think about long term. Get yourself a dehydrator. Dehydrating is very easy. Most of them come with instructions on how to dehydrate the common items, common food products. But tomatoes is pretty easy for the most part. You just slice it thin, stick it in a dehydrator, set it to the setting that it tells you to, and then give it a few days. When it comes out dry, you can either just put that in Ziploc bags. Vacuum seal is the best way. Stick it in vacuum seal bags, suck all the air out, and that will store for a long time. Another thing is I try to stay away from freezing. But another thing is canning. You can can it and put it on a shelf, and it'll store there for a while too, a couple years if you do it right. Dehydrating, it'll store for much longer than that. If you have a good bit of extra money, the Cadillac is a freeze dryer. Freeze Right is a big name that makes them. They make good quality freeze dryer. If you freeze dry it, it will last for just about forever as long as the conditions are right. But in general, if you take it out of your freeze dryer, you vacuum seal it up there good, stick some oxygen absorbers in there with it, that'll stay 25 years. Of course, eat it when you need to eat it, but it's good to know that if it gets lost on the back of the shelf, it'll still be in there, still be good. Otherwise, if you don't need it now, you can keep those until a little bit longer when you do need them. In dried, whether dehydrated or freeze dried, tomatoes are very easy depending on what it is that you're making. Just mix in a little bit of water. If you want to make tomato paste, it's basically 50-50 powdered tomatoes and water. If you want to make tomato sauce, it's 2-to-1. 2-to-1. So two amounts, two tablespoons, for example, of water for 1 tablespoon of tomatoes, and that sort of thing. If you want to make tomato soup, add a little bit more water. I think it's 4-to-1 or 5-to-1 for tomato soup, but don't quote me on that one. Basically, it's a dry item. You just mix it with water, stir it up real good, and it'll rehydrate and become what it was. So those are some things that you can do to protect yourself from this tomato shortage. Even if you don't have a garden you're growing in now, if you're able to get tomatoes for a fair price in your area, feel free to just buy it. Whether you're buying it from a farmer down the road, or a gardener that has extra, or your grocery store, it doesn't really matter where it came from. The fact is that you have it, and if it's not available later, you will have something. And in this particular case, it would be good to just stock your shelf, just get a little bit extra on there. Like I keep saying, make goal number 1 to have enough food in your house for 30 days. If there's a long-term power outage, or a storm comes through or something like that, you have enough to where you don't have to worry about the store for 30 days. Same goes if the store supplies are short, you can keep shopping just like you normally shop, but what you're not able to find at the store, you have a little buffer at home. 30 days, I say, is the bare minimum. If you can do it, extend that out. Make your goal 1 year or more. As times get tough, that more is going to be what really gets you. The idea of 1 year is if you're storing at harvest time. So when you or the local farmers are harvesting, you can buy in bulk and then put it away, dehydrate it, freeze dry it, can it, whatever your preferred method is. Put it in your store, when it's fresh, when it's ready to go, and then when it's not available, you can pull from that. So if you can make it 1 year, it'll get you back around to where you were to harvest time, and go from there. But what if the next harvest is not what it needs to be? That's where that extra comes in handy. So again, I keep saying, prepare for the worst, but hope for the best. I hope I'm wrong. But what I foresee is a 100-year storm. We are in the beginning of the 100-year weather cycle. Do a little bit of research into the American Dust Bowl, 1920s, 1930s. I foresee that we are in the beginning days of it now. We are starting to see what they saw at the beginning. But the thing to remember, too, is times got really tough, but there's a lot more people here now, and there's a lot less farmers now. And one of their issues back then was that, the roads and transportation, trucking wasn't what it is now. So we have that going for us. The trains back then for shipping goods wasn't what they are now. However, we also have a drastic shortage in both of those right now. The trains, for one thing, are very short. In fact, we're looking at a train employee strike here very soon. Depending on how that goes, that can hurt more. Now, those are going to be short-term things in the grand scheme of things. But if there's no transportation, then there's nobody to take the products from the farm to the processing. And then if it can't get from the processing to your grocery store, you can't buy it, of course. That's where that 30 days comes in as a buffer for that. But again, if I'm right about this 100-year storm and we're at the beginning of that, that lasted somewhere around 10 years. So yeah, don't be thinking about just preparing to get you through the storm. Think about adjusting your lifestyle just to make this the way you live. Because if I'm right, and this is a 100-year storm that's going to last 10 plus years, you got to make this your lifestyle if you're going to make it through. Make this your routine. Start thinking along the lines of not just where you're gonna get the next meal from, but where you're gonna get the next few meals from, and where you're gonna get meals to last you for the next year. So, hate to sound doom and gloom, but times are tough. The pressure's building, and I want to try to educate you of what's going on, let you know what's happening on the news, so that you can take that as information to use in your preparations, but also is to get you thinking. Because as far as the mental health and the spiritual health aspect goes, the more informed you are, the more you're aware of, the less difficulty this is going to be for you. It's going to be less stressful, and it's going to be harder on you if you're not thinking along those lines. If you don't know that it's coming, if it catches you off guard, it's going to be 10 times more stressful than if you knew that it was coming. Now, if you started doing preparations for it to protect yourself and your family, then the impact is going to be a little bit less. Tomatoes was a topic of this video, but look around you. What else can you do? Let me know in the comments. Let me know what you're seeing. Are you seeing a tomato shortage in your area? What else is going on? What other things did I miss that people can do to help prepare themselves? If you have any questions, put those in the comments too. Let's get some discussions going. Let's help each other out. Times are challenging right now, but they're going to get a lot tougher before they get better. So let's work together, to help you prepare your family and help each other prepare the community. So again, thanks for tuning in. If you've enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed already, hit the subscribe. Show your support. Stay up to date with future videos. There's a lot coming down. I hope you enjoy these. Again, I'm Pastor Dave. This is the Temple of the Holy Beard. Thanks for watching.